welcome to my gardening journey. I'm John, and on this channel we cover everything to do with the garden and also growing your own food, whether it's in your garden, on a small holding or down an allotment. It's been a few months since my last update and we've had quite a few people join the channel, so thank you ever so much for subscribing. I'm hoping to push on to 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, which will be absolutely amazing. So thank you ever so much for everyone who's joining the channel. Unfortunately, over the last couple of months I've not been around to be able to do some filming, and a couple of reasons there is because one, went on a family holiday to Turkey, which was absolutely wonderful, and got to see plants in a different country and how they're growing. But unfortunately after that I've had a series of health issues, mainly to do with my back, but also picked up COVID, which ended up in a chest infection, which also laid me out for a little while. So unfortunately I've not been massively well, but really it hasn't had a huge impact on my garden because the weather's been awful and we've had an influx of slugs. So when I have felt okay, I've managed to get outside and try and protect my garden from the slugs, but they've definitely been doing a lot of damage. The weather here has been pretty awful. It's been really rainy, really wet, and below average temperatures. So we haven't had huge spurts of growth, but over the last few days, things are definitely starting to look up. So hopefully this is a sign that August is going to be a little bit warmer, but I'm not going to put any bets on it. So in this video I'm going to take you around my garden just so you can see where I'm up to, how things are going and what's new. So let's make a start. My greenhouse is the heart of the growing operation here at home. Pretty much all of my plants will have started life off in that greenhouse, and it extends the growing season for me by allowing me to start earlier and grow on till later. This time of the year the greenhouse has moved from being a nursery on to being a place where some plants will grow to maturity, and these plants are usually the ones that really do like the heat and need a bit of protection from fungal infections and issues such as blight. So I'm growing in there some tomatoes and some peppers. I've got tomato and peppers outside, which I'll show you shortly, but these ones in there are like my backup ones, the ones that I'm a lot more assured will grow to maturity and produce really good fruit. I'm also using some of the space in the greenhouse to keep some younger plants going because I've had a lot of problems with slugs this year, and the slugs have eaten plants that I've not known them to eat before, which has been some of my tomato plants and my pepper plants. So I'm in the process now of just updating the plants I've got outside. This will be the last time I replace some of the damaged plants because there's not enough growing season left. And then I'll be clearing out that greenhouse. My greenhouse is set up so I have a raised bed down one side and staging down the other. I'd like to at some point remove the staging so that I can put more bedding in here so I can use this purely to grow plants in, but for that I need another place to actually raise my seedlings. But it does a really good job for what it is. It's only a 6 by 8 foot greenhouse, but it produces a huge amount, so I'm really pleased with it, but it does need cleaning. This year I want to go big on tomatoes and peppers, and that's because I'm looking to try and preserve them so I have some lovely fruit from my garden into winter. So I wanted to see how much I could grow outside and in my greenhouse. Now the UK isn't the best place for peppers and for tomatoes to grow, and that's because we have a relatively short season and it isn't always the warmest. And I have a lot of problems with blight here in the UK as well, particularly when I grow tomatoes outside. But this corner of the garden receives a huge amount of sun and it is a heat trap, so I'm hoping it's going to do well this year. Unfortunately, the slugs have been having a go at my plants, and as you can see they're not as high as I would like them to be for this time of the year, and that's because it's been pretty cold up until now and it's been extremely wet. So we'll see how they do. I've just erected these bamboo supports and I'll be finishing that off in the next couple of days just so I can give the plants something to train up. And where I have had a few pepper plants that have been damaged by slugs, I'm going to replace them with my backup plants and hope for the best with those. So behind me is my kitchen garden, or the veg patch, and this year it's again been a little bit hit and miss. I've had some really good produce out of this, particularly lettuce, but everything's been pretty slow to grow. Also, you can see around me I've got these big trees which are going to get cut back this winter, but they are casting a lot of shadow over this area. So that means I've got a limited amount of things that I can actually sow in here, because this is the first area that gets sort of shaded later on in the day, which is why this is an area for spinach and lettuce mainly. I'm also growing some kohlrabi, which I sowed earlier in the year, and I've also got some fennel coming up. Well, we had a number of challenges over in the kitchen garden and growing things. The area that's been doing absolutely brilliantly has been the livestock side of what we do here, and that is our chickens, but we've also added in some quail as well. And I'll go into those in other videos in a lot more detail, but what we've had change with our chickens is that we've added 2 more to the flock, and I'll go over a video of how I introduced the new chickens to the existing flock. And also with the quail, I'm starting to learn a lot more about those. I'm not ready yet to share all of the things I know on that, because there's a lot more to learn, but I hatched them out from eggs here at home, and we're now producing a lot of lovely quail eggs. One of the really good outcomes we've had so far with our chickens is they're producing enough for us to sell a few of those locally to our neighbours, and the income from that is paying for their feed, which means that we're producing these and it's costing us nothing in terms of feeding them, which is brilliant. And we're getting all of the eggs that we could ever hope for. And I think now we're around about 3 to 4 years of not buying eggs from a supermarket. If you're interested in chickens and chicken care, I do have a series that I'm working on, and I've done a few videos, and I'll just link the playlist up there, so please have a look and go along and see if this is something that you would like to do. The final piece of the setup I have at the moment is my allotment. I don't have any up-to-date video from there because I haven't been down for a little while because of my back, but I have a little bit of video from when I've been down there before, which I'll put up at the moment. It's not going as well as I'd hoped, mainly because I've just not had the time to get down there because of the back injuries, and I've had to focus here. But I'm looking to do a whole series on that once I've finished the chicken series, so if that's of interest to you, let me know. If you've got any questions, put it down in the comments, and hopefully I can answer those as I try to apply what I know to my allotment. So that's it for this week, and I'm sorry that this has been a little while coming and it's just an update video. If you have any questions about gardening or producing your own food at home, please drop them in the comments below, because coming up with content ideas for videos is a bit of a challenge, so any help you can give me will be greatly appreciated. I have a few videos in the making at the moment, a couple on chicken care, so some additional points around how to look after chickens, but also how to add new chickens to an existing flock. And I've also got some videos coming on quail and also on other elements of garden care, particularly looking at tomatoes and peppers at the moment. So please stick around, and I hope this is helpful to you. Please like and subscribe if it is, and I'll see you next time.